Today I saw a viral video. In the video, a Palestini girl, handcuffed, is sitting on the ground and talking to the Israeli soldier who arrested her. She tries to invoke his feelings of humanity but fails to elicit a response. Well, I think she might have tried speaking to him in Chinese or one of the fictional languages invented by J.R.R. Tolkien, because it wouldn't have made even the slightest difference. The basic tenet of linguistic communication is that both persons should understand the language uttered. Sadly, the Israelis, well, most of them anyway, don't understand the language of humanity, compassion, or kindness. The only language they understand is one of fire and iron. For example, the only time Israel made a meaningful concession to Arabs was in the wake of the 1973 war, in which Israel suffered two drastic, albeit temporary, reverses. But there is a problem here as well. Israelis and their daddy are very proficient in that language. In contrast, our vocabulary and expression in that language is very weak. Problems aren't created in a day. They aren't solved in a day either. In 1896, a man resolved to learn that language and then teach it to his nation, which was being oppressed in Europe. That man's name? Theodor Herzl. He put forward the concept that Jews need to create a homeland in Palestine in order to attain the power and respect needed to protect them from anti-Semitism. From 1896 to 1948, the whole Jewish nation pursued the goal with single-minded dedication. They learnt the language of fire and iron. They gave their time, sweat, tears, wealth, and blood for the cause. Not a single avenue of effort was spared. Their adversaries, the Arabs, only bickered and dithered. Aside from making a few bombastic proclamations, no systematic counter-effort was launched. The result was a foregone conclusion. And now we have come to the juncture when we are begging the enemy to show a glimpse of humanity. We need to learn from the Israelis. In order to reverse the course of Israeli encroachment, we too must be prepared to make every sacrifice possible with a clear-cut aim of victory in mind. Our numbers are huge and our resources are almost unlimited. The need of the hour is to organize our numbers and resources into a united, synergistic, and practically effective whole. Once we achieve that, our victory will become a foregone conclusion as well. But beware, this is easier said than done. We will have to shed our laziness, our selfishness, our pointless pride in the pagan notions of tribalism and nationality, our lack of discipline, and our lack of courage. A belief in our future victory, a belief in our shared destiny, a belief in the cause of Allah and Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and an almost total disregard for personal well-being over the collective good is essential. Education, motivation, organization, training followed by ruthless execution is the only way forward. The Israelis, clever as they are, have made a huge mistake. They chose a land for their scheme which is surrounded by Muslims on all sides. They are outnumbered more than 100 to 1 by Muslims. Such demographic imbalance is a very ill portent for the Israeli state. But their response has compounded their mistake. Instead of compromising after their initial successes, a strategy which was advocated by some Israeli men of reason, they lapsed into paranoia when confronted with the demographic reality. Their paranoia led them into ever-increasing aggressiveness. They have cultivated a hatred against them which is being deepened with every new atrocity. When they will inevitably face a defeat, and let me assure you that my study of history has led me to believe that it is a fate which is unavoidable for them due to their numerical weakness. For example, a Germany with 80 million people took on the world in 1939. They gained some truly spectacular victories, but then met their inevitable doom by getting crushed under the weight of Russian multitudes. For the Israelis, there will be no place to run, and the victors will be composed of people who would be carrying the baggage of decades or centuries on their backs. A second Holocaust will ensue, and then the rest of global Jewry will be telling the world for the next millennium about the barbarities which they faced. But if that happens, they will have only themselves to blame. And it will happen surely if they don't radically alter their course now.